Beneath the pavement you walk on, entire cities are sleeping. Ancient civilizations are buried under our modern urban landscapes, and their lost worlds are constantly resurfacing. This journey will reveal how these discoveries are rewriting history books and reshaping our understanding of human achievement. You will learn to see the ground beneath your feet as a living archive filled with secrets waiting to be told. How did a major Roman river end up flowing silently under London's streets? What hidden temple was discovered by construction workers in the heart of Mexico City? The answers lie just below the surface. What forgotten story do you think is buried under your own hometown? Think of the city beneath your feet as a vast, ancient manuscript. Generations of people have written their stories upon this land, only for time to gently scratch them out, allowing new tales to be inscribed over the old. This is the concept of an urban palimpsest. Traces of the original writing always remain, faint but decipherable, if you only know how to look. Our modern cities are these living manuscripts. They are not built upon empty ground, but are instead layered upon the ruins of their own pasts, with each era leaving behind a ghostly imprint in the soil. Take Istanbul, a metropolis that straddles two continents. Beneath its vibrant streets, you can find the colossal foundations of Byzantine cisterns, their endless rows of columns holding up the very fabric of the modern city. Or consider Mexico City, where the mighty Templo Mayor of the Aztec Empire now lies entombed, its stones literally forming the footings for a Spanish colonial cathedral. These are not separate places, but a single location continuously rewritten. The process that preserves these layers is a slow, geological patience. Dust, debris, and decay accumulate over centuries, burying the old world under a protective blanket of earth. New construction then packs this soil down, creating a solid foundation for the next chapter. Urban growth acts as both a concealer and a preserver, sealing these time capsules shut until a moment of revelation, a subway dig, a new building's foundation, cracks them open once more. To truly grasp the scale of these hidden histories, we need only look at one of the most dramatic examples of a lost world resurfacing in the heart of a modern capital. Rome offers perhaps the most profound example of a city living atop its own ghost. The modern metropolis is quite literally propped up by the bones of its ancient predecessor. Walk through the streets today, and you might be standing 30 feet above the original Roman roadways. This is not a city that forgot its past, but one that physically consumed it, layer by layer. The Roman Forum, the heart of the ancient world, now sits in a sunken valley not because it was dug down, but because the city around it built itself up over centuries, leaving the old civic center preserved in a bowl of time. Beneath ordinary apartment buildings and piazzas, a labyrinthine world waits. The catacombs wind for miles, subterranean cities of the dead that honeycomb the bedrock. Then there are the hidden rivers, the ancient stream known as the Petronia River, once a visible feature of the landscape, now flows silently in a brick-lined tunnel deep beneath the foundations of the Roman Forum, completely concealed from the world above. How do we find these lost places? Modern archaeology has moved far beyond just digging with shovels. Tools like ground-penetrating radar allow researchers to see into the earth without breaking ground. They send pulses of energy downward, painting a picture of buried walls, voids, and structures. It is a form of sonic X-ray vision, revealing the ghostly architecture hidden in the soil. This technology recently uncovered the remains of an entire neighborhood, complete with a grand temple and homes, buried directly beneath the modern district of Trastevere. Each discovery peels back a single page of the urban manuscript. A basement renovation stumbles upon a Mithraic temple dedicated to a mysterious cult. A subway extension for Rome's new metro line uncovers the barracks of an ancient Roman army garrison, complete with soldiers' personal belongings. These are not isolated treasures, but connected pieces of a vast subterranean city. Rome's story demonstrates a powerful truth that urban development does not always destroy the past. Often, it acts as the perfect preservative, encasing ancient streets in a protective shell of rubble and earth, sealing them away from the elements and from later destruction. This forces us to reconsider other great capitals of the world. What forgotten foundations support the gleaming towers of London, or lie dormant under the bustling avenues of Beijing? London's own foundations are built upon a ghost river. The River Fleet, once a powerful waterway wide enough for boats, now flows in darkness through a Victorian sewer tunnel deep beneath the city. Its journey from a sparkling stream to a buried canal mirrors the city's own transformation, a physical symbol of the past being paved over. But the water is not the only thing sealed below. Directly under the modern financial district's glass and steel towers lies the original Roman city of Londinium. This was a bustling provincial capital, complete with a forum, a governor's palace, and a fort, all now entombed by centuries of soil and development. You can walk through the heart of London today and be completely unaware that you are traversing a long-vanished Roman world. This hidden city is constantly trying to resurface. During the 1950s, construction workers on a new office building at Walbrook made a stunning discovery. Their machinery struck stone just a few meters down, revealing the long-lost temple of Mithras. Dedicated to a mysterious Eastern god popular with Roman soldiers, the temple was a major religious site, complete with intricate sculptures and a layout designed for secretive initiation rites. The public lined up for blocks to catch a glimpse of their city's ancient heart, a moment that ignited a new passion for urban archaeology. It was a powerful reminder that London's modern identity is inextricably linked to its Roman skeleton. More recent infrastructure has peeled back even more layers. The massive Crossrail Project, which created a new railway line across the city, became the biggest archaeological dig in modern UK history. As engineers dug deep trenches for new stations, they opened a window into 2,000 years of London life. At the Liverpool Street site, archaeologists uncovered a Roman road, its wooden surface preserved in the wet soil, alongside the personal belongings of the people who walked it, coins, jewelry, and even leather shoes. They found the remains of a Roman writing tablet, a small piece of wood filled with wax, bearing the earliest financial transaction ever recorded in Britain. These are not just artifacts, they are echoes of daily life, proving that the ambitions and anxieties of Roman Londoners were not so different from our own. Each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of Roman Britain. The amphitheater found under the Guildhall Art Gallery shows us a city that enjoyed brutal spectacles. The preserved remnants of the Roman wall, still visible in fragments throughout the city of London, speak of a settlement that needed to defend itself. Together, they reveal Londinium as a vibrant, complex, and often harsh place, a crucial node in the vast Roman Empire. The relentless progress of a modern global city, with its new tunnels and deep foundations, has ironically become the very thing rescuing its oldest stories from oblivion. This pattern of a new world resting directly upon the old is not unique to Europe, of course. It finds a powerful, and perhaps even more dramatic, echo across the Atlantic. The story of a civilization buried is perhaps nowhere more dramatic than in Mexico City. The modern metropolis, one of the largest on Earth, rests directly upon the ruins of Tenochtitlan, the magnificent island capital of the Aztec Empire. When Spanish conquistadors led by Hernán Cortés first saw it in the early 16th century, they marveled at a city of canals and grand causeways with towering temples that gleamed in the sun. It was a vision of a sophisticated, powerful world built in the middle of a great lake. Yet within just 2 years, this city would be utterly destroyed, its stones torn down and repurposed to build a new colonial capital. The Spanish did not just conquer the Aztecs, they physically entombed their world, constructing their cathedral and palaces directly on top of the sacred precincts of the defeated empire. They buried a civilization believing its memory would fade forever, but the earth has a long memory, and the old city never truly went away. For centuries, the ghost of Tenochtitlan whispered through the pavement. Then, in the late 1970s, workers for the city's power company were digging a routine cable trench when their shovels struck an immense carved stone. They had unearthed a colossal monolith depicting the dismembered moon goddess Coyolxauhqui. This was not a random artifact, it was a piece of the very heart of the Aztec world, the Templo Mayor. The discovery ignited a massive archaeological rescue operation right in the center of the bustling capital. The excavation that followed peeled back the layers of the city like the pages of a history book. The Spanish cathedral was literally built from the stones of the Aztec temple it sought to replace. As archaeologists dug deeper, they found not one temple, but many, each layer representing a new phase of construction where the Aztecs had built over their own past, enlarging the pyramid to greater heights. They uncovered offering chambers filled with intricate gifts from across the empire, jade, seashells, and the bones of sacrificial animals, all placed to appease the gods. This was not merely a temple, it was a cosmic map, a representation of the Aztec universe. The discovery of the Templo Mayor fundamentally changed our understanding of Aztec civilization. It revealed them not as the bloodthirsty savages of Spanish chronicles, but as a people with a complex, layered worldview, masterful engineers, and artists of profound skill. Each subsequent find during subway expansions and building renovations adds another piece to the puzzle. A stone altar discovered during the construction of a new hotel, a ceremonial platform uncovered while laying new water pipes. These are constant reminders that the modern city is merely a veneer over an ancient, sacred landscape. The story of Tenochtitlan is the ultimate example of colonization and preservation being two sides of the same coin. The Spanish act of building their city directly atop the old one, while an act of domination, also had an unintended consequence. It sealed the Aztec capital in a protective shell, safeguarding it from total disintegration and saving it for a future that would learn to appreciate its significance. This complex interplay of destruction and preservation raises a profound question: what other forces beyond human conflict can crack open these urban time capsules? Sometimes it is not a construction crew that reveals a lost world, but the immense, untamable power of nature itself. The tragedy that befell Pompeii and Herculaneum was a cataclysm of unimaginable horror, yet it gifted us a moment frozen in time. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in the year 79, it did not merely destroy two thriving Roman towns, it encased them in a protective shell of volcanic ash and superheated mud. This was not a slow burial by urban decay, but a sudden, violent act of preservation. For nearly 17 centuries, these cities slept in perfect stillness, their streets, homes, and inhabitants sealed away from the world. Their rediscovery in the 18th century began not as a scientific endeavor, but as a treasure hunt, with tunnels dug haphazardly to loot fine statues and artworks. Over time, however, the true treasure revealed itself, an unparalleled snapshot of daily life in the Roman Empire. We can walk those streets today and see bread still baking in an oven, read political graffiti scrawled on a wall, and witness the poignant casts of families huddled together in their final moments. This level of detail is staggering, from vibrant frescoes depicting myths to carbonized food on a table, offering an intimacy with the past that no history book could ever provide. The lesson from Pompeii is profound, that sometimes the very forces that destroy a civilization are the same ones that save it from total oblivion. This leads us to wonder how many other cities have been similarly entombed by natural disasters and now lie beneath modern settlements. An earthquake, a flood, or a landslide could have buried a bustling town, its memory fading into legend while its physical reality waits, perfectly preserved, just meters below a new city's foundations. The volcanic ash of Vesuvius acted like a time capsule, and water can perform a similar magic, sealing and safeguarding the past in its own silent, dark embrace. The same sea that once brought Alexandria its immense wealth now guards its most profound secrets. While the story of Pompeii is one of fire and ash, the fate of this legendary Egyptian city is a slower, more patient drama written by water and earth. Founded by Alexander the Great, Alexandria was the intellectual crown jewel of the ancient world, home to its great library and the towering pharaoh's lighthouse, one of the seven wonders. Yet today, entire districts of this Hellenistic metropolis lie submerged beneath the Mediterranean, hidden from view by a combination of devastating earthquakes and a slowly rising sea. The grand boulevards where scholars and philosophers once walked now rest on the seabed, blanketed by silt and sand. This is not a city that was abandoned, but one that quite literally sank beneath the waves, creating an underwater museum of unparalleled historical importance. Uncovering this lost world requires a very different kind of archaeology, one conducted not with trowels and brushes, but with sonar and advanced diving gear. Teams of marine archaeologists have mapped the seafloor, using sonic pulses to paint a ghostly image of the sunken cityscape. Their work has revealed the colossal stone blocks that once formed the base of the pharaoh's lighthouse, toppled and scattered across the harbor floor like a giant's forgotten toys. They have swum through the submerged ruins of Cleopatra's palace complex, the Isis temple, identifying sphinxes and statues that stood in the royal quarters before the ground gave way. Each artifact recovered from the silty gloom, from everyday pottery to intricate gold coins, adds a new sentence to the story of Alexandria's final days. These underwater discoveries are more than just a catalogue of lost grandeur. They are a stark lesson in environmental change. The very coastline that supported this great city shifted over centuries, swallowing its foundations. This forces us to confront a powerful idea that the forces which bury civilizations are not always sudden cataclysms or deliberate acts of conquest. Sometimes it is the slow, inexorable creep of nature, a process that is both destructive and preservative, encasing a city in a watery tomb that protects it from looters and the elements for future generations to find. The silent ruins of Alexandria challenge our perception of urban permanence, reminding us that the ground beneath a city is not always stable and that the sea holds stories just as compelling as the land. What other bustling ports or riverfront settlements have been swallowed by the water, only to be rediscovered centuries later in the most unlikely of urban places? The silent ruins of Alexandria challenge our perception of urban permanence, reminding us that the ground beneath a city is not always stable. A similar, yet far more sudden, fate awaited the Greek city of Helike. In the winter of 373 BC, this powerful member of the Achaean League was utterly erased in a single night. A massive earthquake struck the region, violently liquefying the soft clay soil upon which the city was built. As Helike sank into the earth, a gigantic tsunami swept in from the Gulf of Corinth, washing away what remained and drowning any survivors. The city, along with every soul in it, vanished beneath the waves and a thick blanket of sediment. For centuries, Helike became a legend, a tale told by ancient writers like Pausanias of a city punished by the sea god Poseidon, its exact location a mystery lost to time. The land itself had been remade, leaving no visible trace. How do you find a city that was not merely abandoned, but physically consumed by the earth and sea? Its rediscovery required a different kind of hunt, one that blended ancient texts with modern geology. For decades, archaeologists searched the coastal plain, but the landscape had changed so dramatically that traditional methods failed. The breakthrough came when researchers started thinking like detectives of deep time. They used core drilling, extracting long cylinders of sediment from the ground. These soil cores acted like a timeline, revealing layers of marine clay and debris that pinpointed the exact moment of the cataclysm. Ground-penetrating radar then mapped the shapes buried deep within this sealed layer, revealing the ghostly outlines of buildings and streets. Finally, excavation confirmed it. They had found Helike not on the coast, but buried beneath several meters of sediment inland, a testament to how drastically the earthquake had altered the coastline. The city was perfectly preserved in its tomb of clay, a time capsule from classical Greece. Archaeologists uncovered the remains of a sophisticated urban center with a complex street grid, pottery workshops, a metal foundry, and even a Roman bathhouse built on the same site centuries later. They found coins from the exact year of the destruction, left where they fell, and the corroded remains of bronze artifacts. Helike provides a uniquely frozen snapshot of a working Greek city, not a grand capital like Athens, but a prosperous regional hub, its daily life abruptly interrupted. This discovery does more than just confirm an ancient legend. It offers a profound lesson in the dual nature of natural disasters. The same seismic violence that obliterated Helike also sealed and protected it, creating an archaeological site of unparalleled integrity. The story of its loss and rediscovery stands as a powerful cautionary tale about the fragility of even the most established urban centers. It forces us to ask how many other cities have been swallowed by similar cataclysms, their stories still sealed beneath farmlands or modern towns. As our methods of seeing into the earth grow ever more sophisticated, we are learning that these lost worlds are not as lost as we once believed. The silent clay that swallowed Helike is no longer an impenetrable secret. We have developed new eyes that can see straight through the earth. Modern archaeology now peers into the ground without ever lifting a shovel, using technologies that feel borrowed from science fiction. Ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, is one of these revolutionary tools. Think of it as a form of sonic echolocation for solid ground. A cart-mounted unit sends high-frequency radio pulses down into the earth. When these pulses strike something buried, a stone wall, a hollow chamber, or even an ancient garbage pit, they bounce back to a receiver. The returning signals are then stitched together by a computer to create a detailed map of the subsurface, a ghostly sonogram of a lost city. This allows archaeologists to pinpoint exactly where to dig, preserving the vast majority of a site from unnecessary disturbance. In urban settings, GPR has been a game changer. It can be used in a city park, a parking lot, or even a quiet suburban street to locate the foundations of Roman villas buried beneath English farmland, or to trace the outline of a forgotten medieval market square under a modern German town square. It reveals the hidden anatomy of our landscapes. From the ground, we now look to the sky. Another technology, called LiDAR, has given us the power to strip away entire forests with the click of a button. Mounted on aircraft or drones, LiDAR scanners fire millions of laser pulses at the ground below. These pulses penetrate the thickest jungle canopy, and the ones that bounce back measure the precise distance to the Earth. By subtracting the surface clutter of trees and undergrowth, computers can create an incredibly detailed, bare Earth model of the terrain. This is how archaeologists rediscovered the true scale of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. For centuries, the sprawling temple complex was thought to be a city of isolated stone structures in a jungle. LiDAR mapping revealed something astounding: a vast, low-density urban metropolis surrounding the temples, with grids of roads, canals, and thousands of hidden dwellings. The maps showed that Angkor was one of the largest pre-industrial cities in the world, a discovery that completely rewrote the history of Southeast Asia. This laser vision is not just for jungles. It has mapped the elaborate earthworks of Mayan cities in Guatemala and revealed ancient trackways hidden beneath the moors of England. These tools are transforming archaeology from a slow, destructive process of excavation into a precise, non-invasive science of discovery. They allow us to read the Urban Palimpsest without tearing the page, preserving these fragile sites for future generations while still learning their secrets. This new way of seeing is forcing a profound shift in how we build our modern world, as city planners and construction engineers now have to contend with the invisible cities lying in the path of their progress. The invisible cities mapped by radar and lasers are no longer just academic curiosities. They are now active participants in urban planning, forcing a delicate dance between the future and the past. As our modern cities expand downward and outward, every new subway tunnel, every deep foundation for a skyscraper, risks cutting directly through a hidden archaeological layer. This creates a fundamental conflict, a race between the bulldozer and the trowel. Yet from this tension, a powerful new form of collaboration has emerged, uniting urban planners and archaeologists in a shared mission to protect our collective heritage. In Athens, the construction of its modern metro system for the 2004 Olympics presented an unprecedented challenge. The city is built upon itself, a layer cake of classical, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman history. As engineers dug down for new stations, they did not find empty earth. They found ancient roads, workshops, cemeteries, and entire neighborhoods. Instead of viewing these discoveries as costly delays, the project was transformed into the largest archaeological excavation in Athenian history. The solution was brilliant integration. At the Syntagma station, you can now descend not just into a train stop, but into a museum. Glass floors reveal excavated ancient water pipes beneath your feet, while displayed in cases are artifacts found during construction, from classical pottery to marble statues. The station walls are lined with stratigraphic cross-sections showing the very layers of history the dig uncovered. The metro did not erase history. It made the city's deep past a part of the daily commute, a constant reminder that progress does not have to mean destruction. This proactive approach is becoming formalized in city regulations across the globe. In Jerusalem, a city where every stone tells a story, planning laws are exceptionally strict. Before any new building project can break ground, even for a private home in certain historic areas, an archaeological assessment is mandatory. Teams conduct test digs and surveys to determine if significant remains lie below. If they are found, a full-scale salvage excavation is launched to carefully recover artifacts and record the site before construction is allowed to proceed. This process turns every developer into an unwitting patron of archaeology, ensuring that knowledge is rescued from the path of progress. This collaboration is a fragile but essential pact. It acknowledges that we cannot simply freeze our cities in time, but nor should we pave over our history in the name of development. The goal is managed coexistence, where new foundations are designed to float over fragile ruins, or where glass panels are installed so the public can peer down into an excavated Roman house beneath a modern bank. This partnership ensures that the stories contained in the soil are not lost, but are instead woven into the fabric of the contemporary city, creating a living dialogue across centuries. Yet this success forces us to confront a deeper ethical question. Once we have carefully unearthed these fragile remnants of the past, what is our responsibility toward them? This delicate dance between discovery and preservation forces us to confront difficult questions. Who does the past truly belong to? Every time a trowel breaks the soil, it is not just uncovering artifacts, it is touching the lives and beliefs of people, both ancient and modern. One of the most profound ethical challenges arises when excavation disturbs sacred ground. Across the United States, the unearthing of Native American burial mounds and ancestral villages by early archaeologists was often seen as a purely scientific act, with little regard for the living descendants. For generations, tribes watched as the bones of their ancestors and sacred objects were taken away to be stored in museum basements or displayed as curiosities. This created a deep wound, a sense that their history was being owned and interpreted by others. The passage of the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, or NAGPRA, in 1990 was a landmark shift. This law mandated that federal agencies and museums return these cultural items to lineal descendants and tribes. It was a formal recognition that science does not exist in a moral vacuum, and that the right to control one's own heritage is fundamental. The repatriation of a sacred war club or a set of ancestral remains is not just a transfer of objects, it is an act of healing and restoration. This principle of cultural sensitivity is now reshaping archaeology worldwide, forcing a move from a practice of extraction to one of collaboration. A similar ethical conflict, but on a global scale, revolves around the Parthenon marbles. These stunning sculptures were removed from the Acropolis in Athens in the early 19th century by Lord Elgin, a British diplomat, and they now reside in the British Museum. Greece has long argued for their return, stating they are the very soul of their national heritage, taken when the country was under Ottoman rule and unable to protect its treasures. The British Museum, however, maintains that the marbles are a part of world heritage, safely preserved and accessible to millions in London. This dispute sits at the heart of a modern dilemma. Where do culturally significant objects rightfully belong? Is it in the museum that has cared for them for 2 centuries, or in their land of origin, where they complete the story of their own civilization? There are no easy answers, but the debate itself is forcing a vital conversation about the colonial legacy of many museum collections and the very purpose of these institutions in the 21st century. Museums are no longer seen as neutral treasure houses, but as active participants in the storytelling of humanity. Their role is evolving from one of simple preservation to one of thoughtful interpretation and, increasingly, restitution. This extends to the very real problem of looting and the black market. When a priceless mosaic is ripped from a site in Syria to be sold to a private collector, the context is destroyed forever. We may gain a beautiful object, but we lose the story it could tell, its connection to the building it adorned, the city it belonged to, and the people who walked past it. This commercial hunger for artifacts fuels the destruction of the very history it claims to cherish. Responsible archaeology, therefore, is as much about protecting sites from looters as it is about excavating them. It requires building relationships with local communities, ensuring they see a benefit and a connection to the work being done in their backyards. The ethical excavation of a site is now measured not just by the artifacts found, but by the respect shown to the descendants, the care taken with the land, and the commitment to sharing knowledge. These are not peripheral concerns, they are central to the mission of understanding who we are. For when we decide how to treat the physical remnants of the past, we are ultimately making a statement about our values in the present. The ground beneath our feet holds the power to rewrite entire chapters of the human story. For generations, history books taught us that civilization began around 6,000 years ago with the first cities of Mesopotamia and Egypt. This tidy timeline was completely upended by a discovery on a windswept hill in southeastern Turkey. At Göbekli Tepe, archaeologists uncovered a vast complex of stone circles with massive T-shaped pillars carved with intricate animals. The astonishing part was not just its artistry, but its age. It was built around 11,600 years ago, a full 6 millennia before Stonehenge and thousands of years before the invention of pottery or farming. This was not a city, but a temple complex constructed by hunter-gatherers. It shattered the long-held theory that agriculture and settled life were prerequisites for complex society and monumental architecture. The evidence from the soil suggested the opposite, that the human impulse to come together for grand spiritual projects may have actually inspired the domestication of plants and animals. A single site forced us to rethink the very sequence of human progress. A similar story unfolded on the other side of the world, in the arid Soup Valley of Peru. For decades, the cradle of Andean civilization was believed to be the Chavin culture, which flourished around 3,000 years ago. Then, researchers uncovered the city of Caral. This was a sprawling metropolis with pyramids, sunken plazas, and complex irrigation systems, all dating back nearly 5,000 years, making it the oldest known center of civilization in the Americas, contemporary with the pyramids of Egypt. Caral revealed a society that was remarkably peaceful, with no signs of warfare, no defensive walls, and no depictions of weaponry. Its economy was built on trade and a shared religious ideology, overturning the assumption that early states were necessarily forged through conflict and domination. These buried cities do more than just push back dates. They reveal lost models of human organization. In Mexico City, the ongoing excavation of the Templo Mayor continues to rewrite our understanding of the Aztec Empire. For centuries, their society was viewed through the lens of their Spanish conquerors, who emphasized ritual human sacrifice above all else. But the artifacts recovered from offering caches buried within the temple tell a richer, more nuanced story. They found objects made of jade from Guatemala, amber from the Caribbean, and turquoise from the American Southwest. These were not the spoils of a relentless military machine, but evidence of a vast, sophisticated trade network and diplomatic relations that stretched across the continent. The Aztecs were not just warriors, they were master economists and diplomats. Every time a buried city is found, it forces historians to erase a line in a textbook and write a new, more complex one. The discovery of sophisticated bronze artifacts in the Indus Valley city of Mohenjo-Daro challenged the idea that metallurgy was invented in the Middle East and slowly spread outward. The intricate urban planning of Cahokia, the great mound city in present-day Illinois, proved that complex societies in North America rivaled those of Mesoamerica. These are not just isolated corrections, they are fundamental shifts in our global narrative. They prove that history is not a fixed record, but a living dialogue with the past, a conversation where the Earth itself is the most compelling witness. This constant revision begs the question, what other long-held truths are waiting to be overturned? The next great discovery could be lying dormant not in a remote desert, but directly under a metropolis we know today. The potential for discovery is not spread evenly beneath our world. Some cities are veritable pressure cookers of buried history, where the sheer weight of the past promises spectacular future finds. Modern Cairo, for instance, is a sprawling giant resting upon the bones of ancient Memphis, the first capital of a unified Egypt, while the pyramids stand in the desert nearby, the administrative heart of the Old Kingdom, with its palaces, harbors, and residential districts, is believed to lie largely unexplored beneath the suburbs and farmlands of the modern city. The challenge here is immense as the water table has risen over millennia, meaning any major excavation would be a race against flooding, a delicate operation to uncover priceless artifacts before they are lost to the saturated earth. Similarly, in Istanbul, every new construction project is a gamble with time. We know of the great Byzantine palaces like the Baukolian, whose sea walls are still visible, but the vast majority of their sprawling complexes, with their legendary golden halls and intricate mosaics, remain buried under later Ottoman neighborhoods and modern infrastructure. Digging here is like performing surgery in a living patient, requiring a careful balance between archaeological urgency and the needs of a bustling metropolis of 15 million people. Then there is Delhi, a city with at least 7 historical capitals layered upon one another. The current urban landscape is built directly atop the ruins of earlier cities like Tughlakabad and Firoz Shah Kotla. Each metro extension or new housing development in Delhi risks cutting through the fortifications of a sultanate or the foundations of a Mughal garden. The potential finds in these urban hotspots range from the monumental to the intimately personal, from a lost pharaoh's statue in Cairo to a perfectly preserved Ottoman merchant's house in Istanbul, complete with the remnants of daily life frozen in time. This predictive approach, using old maps, texts, and geographical surveys, allows archaeologists to prioritize their efforts, focusing limited resources on the urban centers where the greatest historical rewards are likely waiting. It transforms the city from a random collection of buildings into a targeted map for exploration, fostering a sense of public anticipation. When a community learns it is living atop a lost capital, every pothole and construction site becomes a potential window into a forgotten world, creating a grassroots connection to the hidden layers below. This public engagement is the next crucial step in the story of urban archaeology, turning passive observers into active custodians of their own deep heritage. This grassroots connection to the past transforms local residents into the most effective guardians of their own history. When a community feels a sense of ownership over the artifacts beneath its streets, it creates a powerful network of watchful eyes. In London's East End, a neighborhood known for its waves of immigration and constant change, community archaeology projects have flourished. Local volunteers, from school children to retirees, have worked alongside professionals to excavate the sites of former tenement buildings. They are not just moving dirt, they are uncovering the personal stories of the very people who lived in their neighborhood centuries ago, finding clay pipes, children's toys, and pottery from all over the world that speak to a history of global connection long before the modern era. This hands-on participation does more than just aid the dig. It weaves those ancient lives directly into the community's modern identity, making the past feel immediate and personal. A similar spirit drives volunteer efforts at Pompeii, where citizens from around the world contribute their time to the site's conservation. They help clear drainage channels, carefully clean fragile frescoes, and document at-risk structures. This global community engagement is vital for a site of such immense scale, but its true power lies in the personal commitment it fosters. A volunteer who has spent a week gently brushing volcanic ash from a 2,000-year-old wall develops a profound, lifelong connection to that place. They become ambassadors for its preservation, carrying the story home and advocating for its protection. This model of public participation is now a cornerstone of modern archaeology. When a new building project is announced, it is often local historical societies and concerned residents who are the first to demand an archaeological assessment, ensuring that the city's development does not erase its memory. They are the ones who report strange markings in a freshly dug trench or an unusual object found in their garden, tips that can lead to major discoveries. This collaborative spirit bridges the gap between the academic world and the public, ensuring that the stories pulled from the ground are not locked away in research papers, but are instead shared and celebrated by the people whose roots are intertwined with that very soil. This deep, community-led investment in heritage naturally raises a practical question. How do we translate this cultural value into the economic realities of a modern city? The discovery of a king beneath a parking lot did more than rewrite history, it revitalized an entire city. When the skeleton of King Richard III was unearthed in Leicester, England, the local economy experienced a seismic shift. The city, once a quiet stop on the map, suddenly became a global destination. Visitor numbers skyrocketed, pouring millions into local hotels, restaurants, and shops. New jobs were created, not just at the dedicated visitor center built on the site, but across the service industry. This was not a fleeting moment of fame. It was a sustainable economic engine, powered by a single, profound archaeological find. The story demonstrates a powerful truth that our past has immense financial value, capable of transforming a community's future. This phenomenon, often called archaeotourism, is a delicate balancing act. In Cologne, Germany, the stunning Roman ruins preserved in situ beneath the city's modern museum have become a major draw, yet this success brings its own challenges. How do you manage the foot traffic of thousands of visitors without the vibrations and humidity damaging the fragile mosaics and ancient plaster? The revenue from tickets is essential for ongoing conservation, but the very act of displaying the site exposes it to risk. Cities must navigate this tightrope, using the income generated by tourism to fund the science that makes it all possible. The commercialization of a site can sometimes feel at odds with its sacred or historical nature. Building a flashy gift shop next to a Roman temple might seem crass, but if the profits from that shop pay for vital structural repairs and support further research, the trade-off becomes a necessary partnership for survival. This economic model is crucial for funding the future of exploration. The high cost of excavations, especially in dense urban environments, means that public interest, translated into ticket sales and civic investment, is often the only thing standing between a major discovery and its reburial under a new parking garage. When a city can demonstrate that its buried history is a financial asset, not a liability, it secures the political and public will to look deeper. This financial validation, in turn, unlocks another profound layer of influence as these unearthed worlds begin to shape the art and culture of the society that rediscovers them. The silent stones of ancient cities do not just speak to archaeologists, they sing to artists. The moment a lost world is unearthed, it sends ripples through our collective imagination, inspiring films, novels, and artworks that reinterpret these discoveries for a modern audience. When China's terracotta army was first revealed in the 1970s, the world was captivated by the sight of thousands of life-sized soldiers, each with a unique face, standing in silent formation for over 2 millennia. This was not just an archaeological find, it was a story waiting to be told. It sparked countless documentaries, featured in video games, and became a central plot device in adventure films, its visual power instantly recognizable. The army embodies the absolute power of an emperor, but also the profound humanity of the individual artisans who crafted each figure, a duality that artists and writers continue to explore. Similarly, the rose-red city of Petra, carved directly into the Jordanian cliffs, possesses a cinematic quality that feels almost unreal. Its most famous building, the Treasury, looks like a temple plucked from a dream. This sense of awe has made it a natural star on the silver screen, serving as the backdrop for the final act of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The film did not just use Petra as a set, it cemented the city's image in popular culture as the ultimate hidden, magical place, a treasure at the end of a long quest. This kind of exposure does more than entertain. It transports the wonder of archaeology directly into millions of living rooms, creating a personal connection that a textbook never could. Literature, too, draws profound inspiration from the soil. Historical novels set in Pompeii or the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan allow readers to walk those ancient streets, to smell the air and feel the anxieties of people whose world was on the brink of cataclysm. These stories are powerful because they use the solid foundation of archaeological fact to build empathetic bridges to the past. We do not just learn that the Minoans of Crete had elaborate palaces. We read a novel set in Knossos and feel the claustrophobic tension of its labyrinthine corridors. Contemporary visual artists often incorporate archaeological themes directly into their work, creating installations that mimic stratigraphic layers or using fragments of pottery to comment on the broken nature of history itself. This cultural resonance is a testament to an enduring human need. These lost worlds provide a rich vocabulary of symbols, a shared landscape of mystery and discovery that we use to explore our own fears and aspirations. They remind us of the rise and fall of empires, the fragility of our own societies, and the timeless questions of power, belief, and identity. When a child builds a model of a pyramid for a school project or a painter depicts a ghostly Roman legion marching through a modern subway station, they are participating in this ancient conversation. They are helping to keep these civilizations alive, not as static exhibits in a museum, but as living, breathing parts of our modern cultural DNA. This creative engagement makes the past feel immediate and relevant, ensuring that the stories of these buried cities continue to be told, retold, and reimagined for generations to come. A discovery beneath the pavement is more than a historical fact. It is a key that can unlock a person's very sense of self. For indigenous communities, the unearthing of ancestral sites is not an academic exercise, it is a homecoming. When the Templo Mayor was revealed in Mexico City, it was not just archaeologists who felt its power. For modern Nahua people, the descendants of the Aztecs, it was a profound reclamation of a narrative that had been buried, both literally and figuratively, for 500 years. To stand before that pyramid is to have a tangible connection to a past that colonialism tried to erase, a powerful affirmation that their culture was not destroyed, only waiting to be remembered. This physical link mends a broken timeline, allowing a community to see its own reflection in the stones of its ancestors, reshaping identity from a story told by conquerors into one written by their own forebears. This reconnection is not limited to ancient lineages. A lifelong resident of Rome walking the same cobblestones every day might feel a sudden, dizzying shift in perspective upon learning that the foundations of their apartment building are repurposed from a 2nd century insula, a Roman apartment block. They are not just a modern citizen, but the latest occupant of a space that has been home to people for 2 millennia. The city transforms from a mere backdrop for their life into a living, breathing entity of which they are a single, temporary chapter. This realization fosters a deep, personal stake in the preservation of that history, a feeling of stewardship for a continuum they now know they belong to. Consider the story of a construction worker in London whose excavator bucket scraped against a strange, carved stone. He reported it, halting a multi-million-pound project, and watched as archaeologists carefully uncovered a pristine Roman mosaic floor. In that moment, he was no longer just a laborer on a job site. He was the person who bridged a gap of 17 centuries, the temporary guardian of a lost artist's work. His life was irrevocably changed by the understanding that he had touched something timeless. These personal narratives are the soul of archaeology, the human heartbeat beneath the scientific data. They answer the fundamental question of why any of this matters. It matters because these stones and artifacts are the physical anchors for our collective memory. Museums play a crucial role in safeguarding these anchors, but their task has evolved. It is no longer enough to simply display a beautiful part behind glass. The true mission of the modern museum is to become a stage for these human connections, to tell the stories of the individuals, both ancient and modern, whose lives are intertwined with the objects on display. How does an institution not only preserve an artifact, but also the powerful sense of identity it represents? The true test of a museum begins long after the artifact is safely behind glass. These institutions are not passive warehouses but active hospitals for history, battling a constant, invisible war against decay. The very air inside a museum case can be an enemy. A fragile wooden tablet from Roman London, preserved for centuries in wet, oxygen-free soil, can begin to crack and warp within hours if exposed to the dry, modern atmosphere. Conservators must perform a kind of environmental resuscitation, slowly acclimating the object to its new home, sometimes even replacing the water in its cellular structure with a stabilizing wax to prevent its collapse. For metals like iron and bronze, the danger is corrosion, a chemical reaction that can turn a sturdy sword into a brittle orange dust. The fight to preserve these objects is a race against time, using science to grant them a longer future so they can continue to tell their story from the past. To make these stories accessible to all, museums are building digital bridges. High-resolution, three-dimensional scans of artifacts now allow anyone with an internet connection to rotate a Mayan vase or zoom in on the fine details of a cuneiform tablet, seeing it more closely than they ever could in a crowded gallery. For sites that cannot be moved, like an entire buried Roman house, augmented reality apps can superimpose the reconstructed building over the empty foundations, letting visitors see walls rise and roofs materialize through their smartphone screens. This digital layer does not replace the physical experience, but deepens it, creating a multi-dimensional understanding of how these ancient spaces once functioned. The most vital work happens in the hushed rooms of the education department. Here, curators and educators design programs that turn a case of pottery fragments into a relatable human drama. School children might handle replica Roman artifacts to understand trade, or participate in a simulated dig to learn the painstaking process of archaeology. Public lectures connect new discoveries to current events, showing how the study of ancient water management in Petra might inform modern engineering challenges. These programs demystify the past, transforming it from a distant, abstract concept into a continuous thread that connects to our lives today. How do we ensure this thread remains unbroken for the next generation? The answer lies in the evolving role of these institutions, from being temples of treasure to becoming dynamic forums for conversation, where the silent objects pulled from the urban soil are given a voice that resonates across centuries. These digital reconstructions are breathing life back into stones. With the help of three-dimensional modeling, archaeologists can now rebuild entire cities from their foundations, transforming scattered ruins into vibrant, walkable worlds. You can stand in the middle of a dusty archaeological site, put on a virtual reality headset, and suddenly find yourself surrounded by the towering ziggurats of ancient Babylon, their glazed blue bricks gleaming under a Mesopotamian sun. The process begins with meticulous data, everything from ground-penetrating radar maps to precise measurements of every surviving stone. Artists and researchers then collaborate, using this information to digitally reassemble buildings, paint frescoes back onto walls, and even populate streets with computer-generated citizens. It is a painstaking act of resurrection, pixel by pixel. At Pompeii, virtual reality tours allow you to step inside a Roman home as it was on the day Vesuvius erupted, to see sunlight filtering through virtual windows and hear the faint sounds of a city going about its business. This is more than a video game, it is a powerful research tool. By reconstructing a temple's original acoustics, scholars can test theories about how rituals were performed. By simulating the path of the sun through a reconstructed courtyard, they can understand the symbolic importance of light and shadow in ancient ceremonies. These models allow us to experiment with the past, to ask questions that the ruins alone cannot answer. Augmented reality adds another layer to this experience, blending the digital and physical worlds. Imagine visiting the Roman Forum and holding up your tablet, only to see the crumbled columns on your screen spring back to their full, majestic height, restoring the grandeur of the ancient civic center right before your eyes. This technology is making the past accessible on an unprecedented scale. A student in Tokyo can take a guided VR tour of the tombs in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, and a person with mobility issues can explore the cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde from their own living room. This global access democratizes history, breaking down the barriers of travel and cost. For preservation, these digital twins are a lifesaver. They create a perfect, immutable record of a site at a specific moment in time, guarding against the inevitable damage from tourism, climate change, or even future conflicts. If a monument is damaged or destroyed, its digital copy remains, a blueprint for potential reconstruction, or simply a window for future generations. This digital evolution represents the next great leap in how we connect with lost civilizations, turning every one of us into time travelers. The data fueling these incredible journeys often comes from the very urban excavations we have discussed, creating a continuous cycle where physical discovery in the ground informs the digital revival in the cloud. The story of buried cities is not confined to history books. It is a tale still being unearthed today. In the heart of Paris, one of the most ambitious metro projects in the world is also Europe's largest ongoing archaeological dig. The Grand Paris Express, a vast new network of tunnels and stations, is systematically slicing through the city's deep past. As giant boring machines chew through the earth, they are preceded by teams of archaeologists who have a brief, precious window to rescue history from the path of progress. They have uncovered Roman pottery kilns, complete with failed vases discarded by the potter, and the foundations of medieval farmsteads that once dotted the rural landscape before the city consumed them. Each trench is a cross-section of time, revealing how the rural hinterland of ancient Lutetia slowly transformed into the global metropolis we know. The methodology here is a high-stakes race against the clock, a carefully choreographed dance between engineers and historians, ensuring that the future of Parisian transport does not obliterate the footprints of its past. Across the Mediterranean, the ancient city of Corinth in Greece presents a different kind of ongoing investigation. Unlike a rescue dig, this is a long-term, open-air excavation where the layers of history are peeled back with deliberate care. Here, archaeologists are not just finding buildings, they are reconstructing the economic heartbeat of a classical powerhouse. Recent digs have uncovered a large complex of dye works where the precious purple dye derived from murex snails was produced on an industrial scale. This discovery rewrites our understanding of Corinth's economy, revealing it as a major center of luxury production, its wealth flowing from this vibrant and undoubtedly foul-smelling industry. The meticulous work involves sieving every bucket of soil to find tiny seeds, fish bones, and beetle wings, clues that paint a vivid picture of the ancient diet and environment. These ongoing efforts, from the frantic urban rescue to the patient classical dig, share a common thread. They prove that our historical narrative is perpetually incomplete. Every season of digging, in cities from London to Beijing, adds a new sentence, a new character, or even a new chapter to the human story. The implications are profound, forcing us to constantly refine our understanding of trade networks, daily life, and the rise and fall of urban centers. What lessons do these past cities, with their ingenious water systems, their crowded neighborhoods, and their eventual decline, hold for our own modern urban life? The silent stones of ancient cities are more than historical artifacts. They are a library of forgotten solutions. Many of these buried civilizations faced challenges strikingly similar to our own, from managing dense populations to securing a stable water supply. Their ingenious responses, encoded in the very layout of their streets and foundations, are now offering a playbook for modern urban resilience. Take the magnificent city of Petra, carved into the rose-red cliffs of Jordan. In that arid landscape, water was more precious than gold. The Nabateans did not just dig a few wells, they engineered an entire hydraulic civilization. They carved intricate channels into the canyon walls to capture every drop of rainwater from a vast catchment area, funneling it into a network of cisterns and reservoirs. They lined their waterways with a special cement that minimized seepage, and they designed dams not just to hold water, but to slow flash floods, transforming a destructive force into a life-giving resource. Modern engineers studying these systems are now applying similar principles of water capture and slow release in drought-stricken regions, using ancient wisdom to combat modern water scarcity. The Romans, too, were masters of urban infrastructure. When they laid out a new city, they started with a clear central axis, the Cardo and Decumanus. These two main roads crisscrossed at the city center, creating a logical grid that facilitated movement, trade, and military deployment. This was not merely about order, it was about public health. The grid allowed for the efficient construction of aqueducts to bring in fresh water, and just as crucially, sewers to carry waste out. The famous Cloaca Maxima in Rome began as an open drain but was later covered, becoming a sophisticated sewer system that helped prevent disease in one of the ancient world's most populous cities. Today, urban planners look to this Roman logic when designing new, sustainable neighborhoods, prioritizing walkability and efficient utility layout from the very beginning. This collaboration between archaeologist and city planner is becoming a new frontier in urban design. In Mumbai, a city frequently paralyzed by monsoon floods, researchers are studying the ancient stepwells of India. These magnificent subterranean structures were not just sources of water, they acted as massive underground sponges, absorbing excess rainwater during storms and slowly releasing it during dry months. The concept is now being revisited as a potential green infrastructure solution, using parks and permeable surfaces to mimic the ancient stepwells' function and reduce urban flooding. The lesson is clear: the past holds blueprints for a more sustainable future. Yet, these very cities also teach a cautionary tale about environmental overreach. The collapse of some civilizations, like the Maya, is linked in part to deforestation and soil exhaustion, a reminder that even the most advanced urban societies are tethered to the health of their environment. This forces us to ask what other warnings are encoded in the soil beneath our feet. the same river that gave a city life could also become its shroud. Consider the legendary city of Troy, immortalized in Homer's epic poems. Its famous walls were not toppled by a wooden horse alone, but were slowly, patiently buried by the hands of nature itself. Troy was built overlooking the strategic entrance to the Dardanelles, but its location at the mouth of a river sealed its fate. Over centuries, the Scamander River deposited its rich silt across the coastal plain, gradually pushing the coastline outward and burying the Bronze Age city under meters of fertile soil. What was once a bustling port city commanding sea lanes became an inland mound, a man-made hill known as a tell, its glory hidden beneath vineyards and wheat fields. This process of siltation is a powerful, quiet force, a geological patience that can erase a city from the landscape as effectively as any invading army. The story of Troy reveals a profound vulnerability that a civilization's greatest asset, its fertile river valley, could also be the instrument of its disappearance. This interplay between human settlement and environmental process is a recurring theme. The ancient Greek port of Pavloptri, off the coast of Laconia, tells a different version of this story. This is the oldest known submerged city in the world, a complete Bronze Age town with streets, buildings, and tombs now lying just a few meters beneath the sea's surface. Pavloptri was not buried by silt but was swallowed by the sea itself, a victim of rising sea levels and local tectonic subsidence. The very ground the city was built upon slowly sank, allowing the Mediterranean to reclaim its streets. Walking through its ruins today requires scuba gear, not a shovel. You can swim over a 5,000-year-old town square and float above the walls of homes where merchants once lived. The preservation is astonishing because the same water that submerged the city also protected it from erosion and looting, creating a perfect underwater time capsule. These case studies, from the silt-choked plains of Troy to the sunken streets of Pavloptri, force us to see environmental change not as a backdrop to history, but as an active character in the drama of urban life. Human activity often accelerates these natural processes. The deforestation of hillsides for agriculture or building materials can lead to catastrophic erosion, sending torrents of mud and silt downstream to bury low-lying settlements. A city's own waste can contribute to its burial, as centuries of accumulated refuse and debris slowly raise the street level, a phenomenon seen in tells across the Middle East. This complex dance between human choices and planetary forces holds a crucial lesson for our own time. If ancient cities could be entombed by the very environments they depended on, what does that mean for our modern coastal megacities, many of which are already grappling with the threat of rising seas? The geological processes that buried Troy and submerged Pavloptri have not stopped. They are simply operating on a new map, with our own urban centers now in their path. The same geological forces that buried ancient Troy are actively shaping the coastlines of our world today. Venice is slowly drowning, not in a sudden cataclysm, but in a patient, rising tide. The very lagoon that protected it for centuries is now its greatest threat, with aqua alta, or high water, becoming a frequent and devastating visitor to its grand piazzas. Future archaeologists might not find this city buried under soil, but preserved in a silty, saline tomb, its ornate palazzos encased in layers of marine sediment. They would uncover a time capsule of a city that fought back with its most barrier system, a colossal engineering project whose rusting gates could tell a story of a desperate struggle against the sea. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Miami's foundation is fundamentally porous. Built on porous limestone, the city cannot build walls high enough to keep out the water, which instead bubbles up from below. Saltwater intrusion is already turning the ground into a corrosive brine, eating away at the concrete and steel that form its skeleton. 1,000 years from now, excavators might find a city petrified in a kind of wet concrete, its Art Deco hotels and modern skyscrapers preserved not by ash, but by the very mineral-rich waters that doomed them. These future digs would reveal a paradox of modern preservation. Our most durable materials, plastics and composites, might outlast the stone buildings themselves, creating a confusing stratigraphy for those who come after us. The story would be clear, a coastal metropolis that thrived until the ocean itself reclaimed its land. But water is not the only architect of future ruins. The solid ground itself can turn traitor. Tokyo sits at the precarious intersection of three tectonic plates, a constant, trembling dance with seismic destiny. A major earthquake could not only level the city, but also trigger a process of rapid sedimentation, especially if it unleashes a tsunami that deposits a thick layer of sand and debris over the wreckage. Future researchers might find the remnants of Tokyo's incredible infrastructure, its tangled web of subway tunnels and earthquake-resistant towers compressed into a distinct layer in the soil. They would likely be amazed by our technology, finding evidence of sophisticated damping systems designed to sway with the Earth's motions, all tragically overcome by a force of nature far beyond their design. The personal artifacts would tell a poignant story, mobile phones fused together by heat, their digital memories lost alongside ceramic bathroom tiles that survived intact, a silent testament to the durable yet fragile nature of our civilization. What would these future explorers make of our layer in the earth? They would see a stratum rich in novel materials, a sharp line of plastic, refined metals, and composite alloys unlike anything found in earlier periods. Our landfills would become the richest archaeological sites, vast middens containing perfectly preserved snapshots of our daily consumption. The clues would be everywhere, from the changing pollen counts in sediment cores showing the decline of natural ecosystems, to the chemical signatures of our industrial age etched into the soil. This forward-looking perspective forces a sobering reflection. We are not just building cities for the present. We are actively constructing the archaeological sites of the future, and the choices we make today, from our building materials to our environmental policies, will determine what story our buried cities tell. The ground beneath Berlin also holds a more recent kind of ghost. Archaeologists there have carefully excavated the cramped, concrete-lined bunkers where civilians huddled during the air raids of World War II. These are not ancient tombs, but time capsules from a conflict that shaped the modern world. Inside, they find everyday objects frozen in a moment of terror, a child's scorched toy, a woman's comb, a single leather shoe. These humble items tell a story that grand historical narratives often miss, the intimate, human-scale reality of fear and survival. This is the archaeology of our own grandparents' era, proving that the discipline is not confined to the distant past. In the former industrial heartlands of Manchester and Detroit, the skeletons of a different revolution lie buried. The colossal foundations of textile mills and automobile factories are now being studied as the ruins of a bygone age. Researchers sift through the slag heaps and abandoned worker housing not for treasure but for data. They analyze soil samples for chemical traces of early industrial pollution, mapping the environmental cost of progress. They catalog the fragments of mass-produced pottery and machinery, piecing together the daily lives of the first generations of factory workers. This industrial archaeology reveals the profound societal shift from agrarian life to the urban, clock-punched existence that defines so much of our modern world. The methods used are a blend of traditional digging and modern forensics. Just as with a Roman villa, archaeologists create precise plans of a 19th-century tenement building. But they also use chemical analysis on floorboards to detect traces of what people ate, and they study the wear patterns on stairs to understand the flow of human traffic through a space. A discarded medicine bottle becomes a clue to public health, while the layout of a factory floor speaks volumes about the hierarchy between managers and laborers. Each finding adds a tangible layer to our understanding of the very recent past, a period we mistakenly think we already know completely. This work forces a crucial realization that the rapid changes of the last 2 centuries are just as worthy of preservation as the slow accumulation of ancient history. The brick-lined air raid shelter will one day be as distant as a Roman catacomb, and the abandoned steel mill as mysterious as a medieval forge. By applying an archaeological lens to these places now, we are preserving the raw evidence of our own tumultuous times for future generations who will seek to understand the roots of their world. We are learning that every era, no matter how recent, eventually becomes a buried civilization waiting to be rediscovered. We are already building the ruins of tomorrow. Every modern construction site, from a new subway station to a sprawling housing development, is actively creating the archaeological layers of the future. This realization has sparked a revolutionary idea in preservation: the intentional creation of time capsules on a grand scale. It is no longer enough to simply dig up the past. We must now deliberately save the present for those who will one day dig for us. The Museum of London Archaeological Archive stands as a pioneer in this effort, a colossal warehouse that is not a museum of display, but a museum of storage and data. Here, millions of artifacts, from Roman shoe leather to Victorian clay pipes, are meticulously catalogued and stored in climate-controlled conditions. But the archive does not stop with ancient objects. It actively collects the mundane material of our own time. A section of pipe from a new water main, a sample of contemporary concrete, a common mobile phone model, all are preserved with the same care as a medieval coin. The goal is to provide future researchers with a complete, uncontaminated sample of 21st century life, free from the guesswork that often plagues our understanding of earlier eras. This proactive approach extends beyond objects to entire landscapes. Archaeologists now use high-definition laser scanning to create perfect digital twins of neighborhoods slated for redevelopment. They document the graffiti on a wall, the wear patterns on a park bench, and the specific arrangement of goods in a local shop. These efforts capture the soul of a place, the intangible culture that is often the first thing lost to urban renewal. We are learning to see our own era as a future archaeological site, one that deserves the same thoughtful preservation we give to ancient Rome or Tenochtitlan. This global shift in perspective reveals a fascinating pattern. The distribution of these buried cities is not random. It follows the relentless logic of geography and human ambition, clustering along fertile river valleys, natural harbors, and strategic trade routes, places where cities have risen, fallen, and been rebuilt for millennia. The echoes of buried cities resonate on every continent, a testament to humanity's shared cycle of construction and loss. Beneath the modern landscapes of Pakistan, the sophisticated grid of Mohenjo-Daro lies largely unexcavated, its baked brick foundations and elaborate drainage systems waiting to tell their story. This was one of the world's earliest major urban centers, a metropolis of the Indus Valley civilization that thrived over 4,000 years ago, yet its script remains undeciphered, its ultimate fate a mystery sealed by silt and time. Half a world away, beneath the bustling streets of American cities like St. Louis, the great earthen mounds of Cahokia rise as silent sentinels. 1,000 years ago, this was the center of a vast pre-Columbian civilization, with a population that rivaled London of the same era. Its central Monk's Mound remains the largest prehistoric earthwork in the Americas, a colossal pyramid of packed soil that once supported a mighty temple, now overlooking a modern highway. The story of its burial is not one of sudden catastrophe, but of gradual abandonment and the slow, patient work of wind and rain covering its plazas and homes. What common threads connect these disparate sites, from the river plains of the Indus to the Mississippi floodplain? They all reveal a universal pattern where the most advantageous places for human settlement, the fertile river valleys and protected harbors, are continuously reused. Each new generation builds upon the rubble of the last, often completely unaware of the forgotten foundations beneath them. The methods of their rediscovery also share a familiar rhythm, a chance discovery by a farmer's plow or a construction crew's backhoe that sparks a decades-long quest to understand a lost world. This global tapestry of hidden history underscores a profound truth, that the rise and fall of urban centers is not a unique event but a recurring chapter in the human story. From the sunken ports of the Mediterranean to the jungle-swallowed temples of Cambodia, the Earth is a vast library of fallen civilizations. Each discovery, whether a terracotta warrior in China or a stone tool in Peru, adds another volume to our collective autobiography. This worldwide conversation with the past inevitably leads to a crucial next step. How do we translate the silent language of stones and artifacts into a story that can captivate and educate a global audience? A single news headline can transform an ancient potsherd into a world treasure. The media acts as a powerful lens, magnifying archaeological discoveries and bringing them directly into our lives. But this lens can sometimes distort as easily as it clarifies. When a major find is announced, the way it is reported in newspapers, documentaries, and across social media feeds directly shapes our collective excitement and understanding. Responsible coverage can ignite a global passion for the past. The 1939 excavation of the Sutton Hoo ship burial in England is a perfect example, as newsreels and newspaper reports conveyed the stunning revelation of an Anglo-Saxon king buried in a ship laden with gold and artifacts. The public was captivated. This was not a dry academic report, it was a real-life treasure hunt with profound historical implications. The widespread, accurate media attention helped secure the future of the site, fostering a national sense of ownership and pride that continues to this day, demonstrating how positive coverage can translate directly into sustained funding and preservation efforts. Yet, the same media ecosystem can also amplify misinformation. Consider the story of the so-called London Hammer. Found in the 1930s in Texas encased in rock, the hammer was presented in some sensationalist outlets as an out-of-place artifact, a modern tool impossibly buried in ancient stone that supposedly proved advanced civilizations existed millions of years ago. While easily debunked by geologists who showed the rock concretion was a natural process that can occur relatively quickly, the story took on a life of its own. It became a staple of pseudoscience documentaries and viral online posts, creating a persistent myth that overshadowed the real, fascinating geological story. This highlights a critical tension. The media's need for a compelling narrative can sometimes favor mystery over mundane truth, creating lasting public misconceptions that experts must then painstakingly correct. The rise of social media has accelerated this dynamic to a breathtaking pace. A short, dramatic video of an artifact can garner millions of views, but the accompanying caption might lack crucial context or contain outright fabrications. The drive for clicks can prioritize the speed of sharing over the accuracy of information. However, this new landscape also holds immense promise. Archaeologists and institutions can now bypass traditional gatekeepers, using platforms like YouTube and Instagram to share their discoveries directly with the public. They can post daily dig diaries, host live Q&A sessions from the trench, and show the slow, meticulous work that goes into uncovering the past. This direct access demystifies the process, building a more authentic and invested community of enthusiasts. The ultimate goal is a partnership where journalists and content creators work with researchers to tell stories that are both captivating and correct. When the media gets it right, it does more than just report news. It builds a bridge between the academic world and the curious public. This sustained engagement, fueled by trustworthy reporting, creates a fertile ground for the next essential step, translating that public interest into lasting knowledge through education. The true power of a discovery is unlocked when it is shared. Museums, universities, and dedicated organizations worldwide have transformed this principle into a mission, creating a vibrant ecosystem of educational programs and public outreach designed to bring archaeology out of the academic journal and into people's lives. These initiatives demystify the process, turning every curious mind into a potential guardian of the past. In the United Kingdom, the Portable Antiquities Scheme offers a brilliant model of public partnership. It encourages metal detectorists and members of the public to report their finds, from Roman coins to medieval brooches, for official recording. Instead of treating these discoveries as threats or loot, the scheme collaborates with finders, ensuring that each object is identified, documented, and added to a national database. This program has revolutionized our understanding of the British landscape, mapping thousands of previously unknown settlements and trade routes through the scattered artifacts found in farmers' fields and backyards. It transforms a hobbyist with a metal detector into a citizen scientist, contributing directly to the collective story of the nation. Across the Channel, Italy has taken a more immersive approach. The country is dotted with archaeological parks that are far more than just fenced-off ruins. At places like Pompeii or Ostia Antiqua, visitors do not just look at old stones, they walk through entire resurrected neighborhoods. They can attend gladiator school for a day, watch reenactors demonstrate ancient Roman cooking, or participate in workshops on fresco painting. These parks are living classrooms where history is felt, smelled, and experienced, creating a visceral connection that a textbook could never achieve. The goal is to make the past tangible, allowing a child to stand in a Roman bakery and understand that the people who worked there were real, with daily routines and dreams not so different from their own. This educational drive extends into digital spaces, breaking down geographical barriers entirely. Universities and cultural institutions now offer free online courses that guide participants through the intricacies of ancient civilizations or the latest archaeological techniques. A retiree in Canada can virtually join a dig in Greece, learning how to classify pottery sherds from an expert via a live stream. Public lecture series, many now available on video platforms, bring cutting-edge discoveries directly to a global audience, allowing anyone with an internet connection to hear the lead archaeologist explain the significance of a newfound tomb the very week it is uncovered. These programs do more than just transmit information. They build a community of passionate advocates. They cultivate the next generation of archaeologists by sparking that initial flame of wonder in a 10-year-old who holds a replica Roman lamp, and they foster a legion of informed citizens who understand why preserving a buried wall matters when a new subway line is proposed. By making the secrets of the soil accessible to all, we ensure that the story of our buried cities does not end with their excavation, but continues to be told, cherished, and protected for centuries to come. The tools we use to listen to the Earth are growing more intelligent by the day. Artificial intelligence is now learning to read the Urban Palimpsest, sifting through mountains of data that would take a human researcher a lifetime to process. Imagine an AI analyzing thousands of satellite images, spotting subtle discolorations in crops or minute variations in the landscape that signal a buried wall or a filled-in moat. These algorithms can cross-reference ancient texts with geological surveys, suggesting the most probable locations for a lost city with uncanny accuracy. This is not about replacing archaeologists, but about giving them a powerful new partner, one that can see patterns invisible to the human eye and point the trowel toward discoveries we would otherwise miss. Underwater exploration is also on the cusp of a revolution. The deep sea has always been archaeology's final frontier, but new autonomous submersibles and advanced sonar mapping are illuminating the abyss. These robotic explorers can spend weeks on the seafloor, creating photorealistic three-dimensional models of sunken Roman galleys or mapping the submerged river valleys that were once the coastlines of the Ice Age, where the first human settlements may lie. As climate change alters our planet, it paradoxically unveils new chapters of the past. Retreating glaciers in the Alps are releasing perfectly preserved artifacts from ancient travelers, while severe droughts are lowering water levels in reservoirs to reveal lost towns and Native American villages. These climate-driven revelations present a race against time, as the exposed organic materials, from wooden tools to leather clothing, can rapidly decay once freed from their protective environments. The ethical landscape is shifting just as dramatically. The future of the field lies in collaboration, not extraction. We are moving toward a model where archaeological teams are led by, or deeply integrated with, the descendant communities connected to a site. The question is no longer just what we can learn from an object, but who has the right to tell its story and care for its future. This collaborative spirit will extend to the very design of our cities. The next generation of urban planners may work with digital twins of the subsurface, visualizing the hidden archaeological layer in real time as they design new foundations, allowing them to build around history rather than through it. As the world's population becomes increasingly urban, the pressure on the ground beneath our feet will only intensify. Yet this very pressure to build downward and outward will inevitably crack open more time capsules, revealing civilizations we have not yet dreamed of. The enduring allure of these hidden worlds lies in this simple, thrilling promise that no matter how much we build, the past is never truly paved over. It simply waits for its moment to resurface. That instinct to dig, to peel back the layers, is written into our very DNA. We are drawn to these hidden worlds for the same reason a child is drawn to a sealed box, driven by a fundamental need to know what is inside. It is a potent mix of thrill and reverence, a quest for treasure intertwined with a search for meaning. The moment a shovel strikes stone or a radar screen reveals a ghostly outline, we are not just finding objects, we are solving a mystery. This is the same impulse that fuels the treasure hunter dreaming of gold, the metal detectorist scanning a field, and the academic piecing together fragments of pottery. They are all answering a primal call, the excitement of the hunt and the profound satisfaction of revealing a secret that time tried to hide. Beyond the thrill of discovery lies a deeper, more poignant longing, a desire to touch the past and feel a connection across the centuries. Holding a coin last touched by a Roman soldier, or standing in a room where an Aztec priest once stood, collapses time. It transforms history from an abstract concept into a tangible reality, allowing us to feel the presence of those who came before us. These discoveries assure us that we are part of a much longer story, that our lives are simply the latest layer in an immense human chronicle. This connection satisfies a deep emotional hunger to understand our place in the world and to feel a sense of continuity with our ancestors. Our culture endlessly romanticizes this quest, from the adventurous archaeologist in film to the mysterious maps in adventure novels. The idea of a lost world waiting to be found is a story we love to tell ourselves. It taps into fantasies of forgotten knowledge and untold riches, but also into a universal curiosity about origins and identity. This cultural narrative ensures a steady stream of fascination, inspiring new generations to look down and wonder what is buried beneath their feet. This collective allure is what guarantees that the search will never truly end. It is also why documenting these finds is so critical. A discovery without a story is just an object, a treasure without context. By carefully recording where an artifact was found, what it lay next to, and the soil it was buried in, we preserve its meaning. We ensure that the connection we feel so powerfully in that moment of discovery is not lost but can be shared, studied, and felt by generations to come. The true treasure is not the gold or the artifact itself, but the story it unlocks, a story that reminds us we are all temporary occupants of a landscape rich with ghosts. A single artifact pulled from the earth holds a story, but only if we know how to read it. That is the true purpose of documentation, the meticulous process that transforms a find into a piece of history. When an archaeologist's trowel uncovers a Roman coin, the immediate work is not to celebrate but to record. Its exact position is photographed from every angle. Its depth and the soil around it are described in painstaking notes, and a unique number is assigned, linking the object to its precise location in the ground. This context is everything. It tells us if the coin was a lost possession on a busy street or a deliberate offering in a temple foundation. Two completely different stories from the same small piece of metal. This systematic recording is the backbone of the entire discipline, ensuring that the fragile moment of discovery is preserved long after the site has been backfilled. The tools for this have evolved from paper notebooks and hand-drawn maps to sophisticated digital workflows. Today, high-resolution, three-dimensional scanners can create perfect digital replicas of an artifact or an entire excavation trench, allowing researchers to revisit the site virtually for years to come. Drones capture aerial photographs that are stitched together to create precise site plans, revealing patterns that are invisible from the ground. All of this data, from a photograph of a pottery shard to the chemical analysis of a soil sample, flows into centralized digital archives. In the United Kingdom, the Archaeological Data Service serves as a national repository, a digital library where excavation reports and datasets are stored and made accessible to anyone. Similarly, in the United States, the Digital Archaeological Record, known as TDR, provides a secure, cloud-based archive for millions of files, safeguarding this knowledge against local disasters or simple institutional neglect. These digital archives are far more than just storage. They are engines of collaboration. A researcher in Japan can analyze three-dimensional models of artifacts from a dig in Turkey, while a student in Brazil can study the complete records of a Mayan site in Guatemala. This global accessibility breaks down the old silos of archaeology, allowing experts from around the world to connect disparate finds and build a more complete picture of the human past. The systematic archiving of every discovery, no matter how small, ensures that the knowledge is not lost. It guarantees that future generations, armed with new questions and new technologies, can return to this raw data and find answers we cannot yet even imagine. This collaborative spirit, woven into the very fabric of modern practice, makes every excavation a gift to the future. The secrets of the earth speak a universal language, one that requires a global community to translate. Major discoveries no longer belong to a single nation, but are instead unlocked through international partnerships that pool resources, expertise, and cultural perspectives. Consider the ongoing work at ancient Carthage, where teams from Tunisia, France, Italy, and beyond work side by side. Each group brings a different scholarly tradition, a unique set of questions, and a shared commitment to understanding this pivotal Phoenician city. French maritime archaeologists might map the submerged harbors, while Italian specialists analyze Roman-era mosaics laid over the original Punic foundations, and Tunisian researchers provide the crucial local context that connects the site to its modern landscape. This is not just a division of labor, but a fusion of intellects, creating a far richer and more nuanced historical picture than any single team could achieve alone. This collaborative spirit is perhaps even more vital along the ancient Silk Road, a sprawling network of trade and cultural exchange that connected China to the Mediterranean. Its story cannot be told by one country in isolation. Joint expeditions between Chinese, Uzbek, and German archaeologists are now tracing its ghostly paths through the deserts of Central Asia. They share satellite imagery, combine linguistic skills to decipher multilingual inscriptions, and compare artifact styles to understand how goods, ideas, and technologies flowed for centuries. This shared research reveals the Silk Road not as a single path, but as a pulsating web of human connection, a story that only makes sense when viewed through a multinational lens. These partnerships are a powerful model for our shared future. They demonstrate that heritage is not a commodity to be owned, but a legacy to be stewarded collectively. By combining funding and cutting-edge technology, these international teams can undertake projects of immense scale and complexity, from digitally preserving crumbling monuments to mounting long-term excavations that would be impossible for a single nation to finance. More importantly, they build bridges of mutual respect and understanding in the present, using the common ground of the past to foster a sense of global citizenship. This collaborative framework is the bedrock upon which we can build a truly comprehensive understanding of human history, proving that the most profound discoveries are made not in isolation, but in concert. Our cities are not built upon empty ground, but upon a living archive of human experience. The most profound lesson from these buried worlds is that urban landscapes are inherently layered, each generation building upon the foundations of the last, creating a rich manuscript where past and present continuously converse. We have seen how modern technology grants us sonic eyes to see through soil and laser vision to strip away forests, transforming archaeology from a guessing game into a precise science of discovery. Yet these powerful tools come with a deep responsibility. Every excavation forces us to confront difficult ethical questions, from the respectful treatment of sacred sites to the complex debate over who truly owns a culture's treasures. These discoveries do more than fill museum cases. They forge powerful connections across centuries. Holding an object last touched by a Roman artisan or walking a street trod by Aztec priests collapses time, reminding us that our modern lives are simply the latest chapter in an immense human story. This narrative is far from complete. Every new subway tunnel, every deep foundation for a skyscraper, holds the potential to crack open another time capsule. The ongoing work in cities from Paris to Mexico City proves that our historical record is perpetually being rewritten, with the next great find likely waiting not in a remote desert, but under a parking lot or a public park in your own hometown. These hidden layers connect us to our shared past while offering crucial blueprints for our future, from ancient water management systems to models of peaceful urban coexistence. The ground beneath our feet is not a sealed tomb, but a dynamic, breathing entity, patiently preserving the echoes of yesterday for the listeners of tomorrow. The pavement you walk on is the cover of a story still being written. This journey through the hidden layers beneath our feet reveals a profound truth. that human history is not a series of disconnected events, but a continuous, unbroken thread. Each buried city, from Roman Londinium to Aztec Tenochtitlan, is a reminder that our modern world is built upon the dreams, triumphs, and failures of those who came before us. We are not the first to build great cities, and we will not be the last. This cyclical nature of urban life, of construction layered upon ruin, connects us directly to our ancestors, making their story an inseparable part of our own. Preserving these fragile time capsules is not merely an academic exercise, it is a sacred duty to future generations. It ensures that the voices from the soil are never silenced, offering endless lessons in resilience, ingenuity, and the shared human experience. As the archaeologist Leonard Woolley once reflected, we are digging up not things but people. Let this understanding change how you see the world around you. The next time you walk through your own city, remember that its deepest foundations are made of stories. Look for the clues in an old street name, an unexplained dip in the land, or a historical marker on a building. What forgotten past lies hidden just beneath your hometown? Share any local legends or discoveries you know of in the comments below, and let us continue this exploration together. Thank you for joining this journey into the echoes beneath the earth. If these historical mysteries captivated you, subscribe for more adventures that unearth the secrets of our world.